YouTube. I am Shaggy, I am Philalitheia, and I am walking back to my tent. Fuck my life. My head's not right. Let's get high tonight. Where's the fun go? Music like a me, boom, boom, doo, doo. Don't remember the words to this song. Father of Peace, no complaints. I really dig this song. And watch the sunrise by the ocean. Dream on how far we gonna go, my friends. I don't have anything really on my mind to talk about tonight. I talked everything that was kind of on my mind. Talked football. Played a few hours. Hey Eric, what's up, buddy? Thank you for that. Thank you for that shout out. I'm doing just fine, Deborah. How are you? No complaints. My life ain't no drama. Don't put glitter on my pajamas. No complaints. My life ain't no drama. Thank you, Eric. One of those days I go to my mama and here's what I tell her. Fuck my life. Why is it playing Flight of the Conchords next? That's weird. Played some 7 Days to Die. I'm on like day 33, I think. Midway through day 33 when I stopped. So that'll hit the channel. Probably that'll hit the channel long after I'm not homeless anymore. Heard that, Eric. I'm going home, Deborah. Gonna do some reading. I'm probably gonna start doing this routine. Not getting on my computer back at the tent until after Rach is awake. And then I'll get some work done and go to bed that way. Because the hardest part is convincing my body that as cold as it is, I'm fine. My head knows it. It's convincing my brain when it's time to sleep that I'll be okay. I agitated my hip by going for a jog. I know, shut up, Rachel. Can't help myself. I didn't have the weight of my backpack on my back, so I started jogging. So I agitated my hip. My knees are okay. Not feeling as much pain as I usually do. Wants to heal. It's good to see you, Eric. You're gonna love what I did to my bass today. I'm not gonna talk about it, but you're gonna love what I did to my bass in 7 days today. It's not a big deal to other people, but it's the first time I did it. It felt good. It felt good, and I figured it out. I've been putting it off, the thing. I've been putting it off for a while because I had a feeling it was gonna be complicated and annoy me. And it's real easy. Really easy. So I've been having a really good day. I got some major upgrades for not just my bass, but my playing experience, my character. Yeah, I'm cooking. I'm cooking. I still got a lot of work that I want to do. I still got a lot of stuff that I want to do. There is one thing that I need to work on that I've been putting off because it doesn't benefit me immediately right now, but it does. It would have benefited me more earlier. Eat shit, Rick. That's right. But we're gonna get back to the tent. and we're going to resume reading the peregrinations of the princes of Serendip, because it's been on my mind all day. I've been noticing things that I would call allusions, as in I have been alluding to it in my thoughts just all day. And so I'm gonna chase my enthusiasm like I encourage you guys to do. Chase the thing I'm enthusiastic about doing right now. And so that means I've been playing a lot of 7 Days to Die. That means I forgot to plug in my phone. So that's funny. I gotta make sure I charge it before I fall asleep. That's no big deal. And that means right now I'm gonna read this book, chill, and hang out with you guys for about an hour. We're gonna do the same thing we did last night. Chill and hang out, talk about what's on people's minds. And then I'm gonna read a book for you. See if I can't make some people smile, help people sleep, maybe introduce people to an idea or a historical fact or a philosophical concept that they've never heard before. See if I can't make a little bit of money at that. Ouch. I'm trying really hard not to fall down this hill, because if I fall down this hill, there is a non-zero chance that my leg is going to be permanently fucked up as a result. So, there we go. This is where I nearly fell this morning. Just because it starts to level out right here doesn't mean that there's no sheets or pockets of ice. As you see, I slipped right there, and then all my footsteps are ice. So they're actually useful to step in, because even as they're ice, they're textured. Ow, shit. I just got stuck on a fucking thorn plant. It's not a bush, it's just one fucking asshole. Hey Samuel, what's up? Hey Bob, yeah, I really love it. No, I'm going home. You have a joke for me, but I gotta wait for it. And yeah, I was having a true blast reading that. Okay, I'm gonna need to get a brush to deal with this. So that's gonna get heavy, and it's gonna rip the fabric of my tent. So right now, it seems to be okay for the most part. Gotta figure that out. I gotta figure out how to make that nut the way it is. I was worried about wind and rain and not thinking about the weight of snow. That's okay. All that off. All that off. These hairs. Hello, Minecraft. Hello, Jarchu. I hope I do love it. I'm just fine, Samuel. Are you okay? Look at that down. I do just love this song. It's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna turn you guys around. And I'm gonna turn on the light in my tent. Maybe. That's not good. Okay. That's actually really not good. Okay, here we go. I am nearly out of batteries. This has gone from not good to bad. Here we go. That's a triple. Okay, we're fine. All is well. Hey, thank you, Chicago. I appreciate that. I do, and you too, Tyson. I will see them, and if I miss saying thank you, don't be afraid to remind me. But don't do it in a rude way, or I'll be inclined to fire back. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I really do. Okay, I gotta get some batteries in my little light here. I am doing this blind and through gloves, so it might take me a second. These are triple, double, triple. Which one are these? These are the same size. Why am I listening to British synth pop all of a sudden? What's happening, YouTube? Why are you the way you are? Here it comes. Oh, no, here it doesn't come either. Let me see. Now, how about now? Hey, there we go. That's bright. Hello, guys. Give me just a moment. Now I'm putting the cap back on this, and it's all washed out in light, so I can't really see what I'm doing. Come on. Why are you the way you are? Thread, please. Thank you. Okay. Boom. Batteries. Go ahead and buy an extra pack. Not extra. Another pack tomorrow. There. And freeze out. Water bottle 1. Water bottle 2. I've slacked off on making sure I keep 2 water bottles here in the tent. So I've remedied that. And, oh, I forgot I bought these. Bits. Alright. My favorite painting? I don't honestly say that, I can't honestly say that I have a favorite painting. Nothing comes immediately to mind. Hello, Num Num, V-Reddit. And hello to the moon. The first painting that comes to mind is Van Gogh's Starry Night. I'm not really a still art kind of guy. Shit. Yeah, Star Night's a pretty painting. Or the Scream. Scream is cool looking. Put the Scream in the Starry Night, and there we go. You have a guy, but you have to look him up. Yeah? Is that so, Eric? Hmm. Mm. Frozen Rolos are so good. Rollo never should have ended their license with McFlurry. Mm. That's funny, Chicago. Alright. There doesn't seem to be... the snow doesn't seem to be weighing down my tent in such a way that it's gonna tear it or anything. So... Feels okay. Hello, Grill. Okay. Okay. I'm just fine. Yeah, I'm just fine. Why do you pray for me? Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, guys. Go ahead and get in this. He's going the distance. He's going the speed. I'll give you a hint. Town's named after Zane Grey. Where in the world is Shaggy Philalitheia? Bow down, 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 be down, be down, be down, wow, wow. Yeah, I got cake in my ear right now. Long ago, somebody left with the cup. But he's driving and driving and hugging the turns. He's going the distance. He's going for speed. He's going... I don't know the words. He's all alone in a time of need, is what he says. Hey, Jeff. He's going the distance. He's going for speed. I hope everybody's doing all right. What day is it? It's Tuesday, right? Fuck, it's getting increasingly difficult for me to keep track of that. That means Dragon Age tonight. That means I gotta make sure that there's 2 episodes up on the channel tomorrow. Maybe you'll get a special episode of Schedule 1. Maybe not. Don't hold your breath on that. Oh, I'm tired, dudes. I haven't been sleeping very well. That's not true. I haven't been sleeping for very long. I'm gonna have a cigarette here in a minute. We'll hang out for another half hour. Thank you guys for the likes. Thank you for all your gifts and for your patience, for your time, your attention. I appreciate it. So steady as she goes. Your friends are showing a kick at the single life. You've had too much to think. Now you need a wife. So steady as she goes. Anyone recognize this one? I do not. RCS, do you? Don't want to know the answer to the question, but there you go. Put it out there for you. When you've completed what you thought you had to do, and your blood's depleted to the point of stable glue, then you'll get along. Well, I once said that history is going to prove that the people who walk around with firearms in public are assholes exclusively, just like the people who used to walk around with swords in public were assholes exclusively. But unfortunately, we are not in that timeline yet. You're a danger to yourself and others, but mostly to yourself. You're going to get yourself more than you're going to get anyone, and you're being gotten right now. You're giving me a passive income. You're just a stupid person and an asshole. And a stupid person and an asshole is an accident waiting to happen when they've got a weapon. Guns exclusively kill people because you carry a weapon in public, RCS. I just said this. The math is very easy. I said this once before and I stand by it now. History will prove that the people who carry firearms in public are only assholes. That's all they are. They're just assholes. Just like the people who used to carry swords in public were only assholes. And history has proven that. Yeah, the problem with common sense is it's not that common. Right, guns don't kill people, people kill people. What's a good movie? I really liked the most recent Naked Gun. Actually, I really liked Weapons. Common sense says you're going to invent an enemy because you're a stupid person. Young Guns? I haven't seen Young Guns. Statistics say that you are more likely to die by your gun in an accident than you are to protect anyone, including yourself. Oh, I am an asshole. Where there's the rule of this channel is no assholes because I'm asshole enough for all of you. That's awesome. I didn't catch superhero movie. I love Leslie Nielsen, but yeah, it was great. It was great. They did a really good job. They did a really good job of being a true successor to the first two movies. I'm great at parties. That's fine, Jeff. Statistics say you're more likely to harm yourself than you are anyone else, and most definitely that you're more likely to harm yourself than rescue anyone, especially yourself. Sharks can live for a long time. Sharks are different. Give you a hint: the town is named after Zangray. Basically, I'm in a backpacking tent. Pretty much triggered by cigarette smoke. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stop. You're welcome to take the next half hour and spend it somewhere else. Zane Grey. How powerful am I? Not very at all. Depends on your definition of power and the way you're using it, but here we go. No, I'm not a fan. I grew up reading the books. I read The Hobbit a couple of times. I read The Lord of the Rings somewhere between 3 and 5 times in high school. There was a dramatized audiobook that I kept checking out at the library because it was really good. Yes, it's very cold. It's been below freezing for a few days. It snowed last night. But no, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of the Lord of the Rings. I really didn't like Peter Jackson's movies at all. And the more I've gotten to know Tolkien and the world of the Lord of the Rings and where his inspirations come from, the more I just really don't like it very much at all. Like he named his orcs after Orkney Island Vikings. There's a lot of racism cooked into his world. You accidentally taught yourself to read Dwarvish? That's funny. He wanted you to do that. He was a philologist first. He was a linguist first. He was a specialist in Northern European language systems, and I'm pretty sure that he specialized in Nordic and Old English folklore as well. The books are better because the books flow into one another. The segues feel natural, and the story that he's telling is natural to the book, because it was effectively in the modern world, it was the first of its kind. So the trope and cliche that it relies on, it really doesn't rely on a lot of cliche. It sets the standard for the cliche. The tropes that it relies on are 1,000 years old and effectively out of print by the time he writes that book. Seen the movie The Book? I don't know. I don't know who Terrence McKenna is. Is that the 1+1 doesn't equal 2 guy? 1+1 = 1 guy? Hello, Mark. How are you doing? Not the orcs. There is a specific group of Orokai who were supposed to be African, but the movie made them Native American. The people with the elephants are supposed to be Africans. Hello, stop it. What's up? I mean, I'm sure there are lots of movies that are effectively based on movies, but movies are ultimately based on the oral storytelling tradition. So They do have elephants, but they they're described as dark skinned and from the south, so they're from Africa. They're supposed to be from Central Africa. They're supposed to be black. India is in the Far East, so he would have described them as from the Far East. Basically, he made the non-European peoples orcs or parts of the evil empire. Well, um, I'm sure that your use of base here is very loose. I don't know if Alexander took elephants over the French Alps, but because Alexander didn't go that far west. Um, what's his name? Fucking Hannibal. Hannibal Barca took elephants over the French Alps. Yes, 15 of them are watching me tape. Artificial war. Um, I don't. I don't really know what you mean by that phrase. I don't think that's gonna happen. Do I like scary stories? Sometimes. I don't want you to tell me a scary story. Yeah, the Carthaginians had Africans or had elephants from Central Africa. You too, Tape. I actually just finished reading a book, a meta history of European history from a meta history of Europe from 6000 AD to 1000 AD, and he took a lot of time. Uh, Alexander the Great is fascinating. The Great Lectures course about him is awesome. Um, but yeah, he spent a lot of time on the Carthaginians. A lot. He spent a lot of time differentiating Carthage and Phoenicia, which is busy work. It's not easy. They didn't see themselves as different for a long time. But part of the reason that the Iberian Peninsula is so different from the rest of Europe has to do with Carthaginians as well as Arabs, Moors. The Madman's Book of Knowledge. That's interesting. I've never heard of it. Phoenician and Nordic runes. That's funny. Yeah, the Dwarvish, I'm sure, is based off Nordic. Thank you, Clark. It depends on what you think a mistake is, Hashim. Why does war have to be a mistake? Reference books about plants? That's cool. Yeah, history is great. I love history. The last I heard about the Dalai Lama, he was in the middle of a sex scandal with little boys, so I've turned the Dalai Lama off as an authority. A man called Intrepid? I've never heard of that either. If you wanted to hum a few bars, I would listen, but I've never heard of it. I don't know what it's about. I love you, but I'm not going to take the time to open the laptop just to Google. I have to turn it on and wait and all that stuff. I have no thought on Trump blowing up narco boats. Enemies of the federal government have been classified as enemy combatants since 2001. That looks more like a statement, Dokes. Not every night, the Mutzla. No, not every night. When I'm inspired, when I have the emotional energy. Uh, Not in my private life. I work in fiction tape clock, so yeah, sure. I don't read a lot of fiction. Heard that, John. Cool. I don't like cars, Dokes, and that remains statements. Well, I don't know what Mother Horse Eyes is, tape clock. That doesn't sound what about music, Dokes? I think I've got the fucking black keys in my ear. For some reason I have like synth pop indie soft rock playing in my ear and I don't understand why. Well, that's I hear you, John, but mythology can be very useful. ADHD meds, I don't think that medication is useful for treating mental health issues. You been enjoying Trippy the Kid? That's cool. That doesn't sound like something I would listen to. I don't even know why I'm listening to this. I fucking hate it and it's starting to annoy me. Yeah, it is the Black Keys and I fucking hate it. I have fixed the problem. Heard that tape. I don't know what a non history is. Is it a biography? Uh, I think that anybody can manipulate anyone to suit their needs and desires, Hashim. Duster? That doesn't sound like something I would enjoy. My channel is about me, Mannix. It's about me. It's about my idiosyncratic approach. Parting of the sensory. I don't know why I'm listening to this either. There we go. Egypt and the Olmecs. Uh, they do seem very similar. Not Egypt, but Nubia. Okay, that's called non-history. That's not called non-history. That's called historical fiction. Tape clock. Seems that way, Hairboy. What's up, Freddy? Not sure what you don't know anymore, Dokes. There's a lot of people talking to me all at once. Not really, Salvo. Hello, Fat. What's up? I got about 15 minutes here. I'm just chilling, letting everybody settle in. Let the passers through say what's up. On Tape Clock, I think you seriously overestimate the amount of time that I have to take literary recommendations from people I neither know nor trust. No, I don't like mushrooms. Do a movie about my life? I am writing books, Mark Donahue, and no, I don't want to do a movie about my life. I'm doing live streams about my life. My mood is very good right now, Dokes. I'd say my mood is like on a -10 to +10 sliding scale. It's about a 0.75, but that's good for me. Melancholy take. I'm listening to you, John. The Olmecs are a lot older than those pyramids, like a lot older. Heard you, John. But the Olmec heads are the Olmec heads are like 5K BCE, something like that. 3.5K, something like that. The Olmec heads, the Olmec heads are about the same age as the pyramids. I think the pyramids of Giza and the pyramids of Giza are like 3,000 years or maybe 4,000 years older than the pyramids of Mesoamerica. What about Easter Island, Brandon? We have a pretty comprehensive understanding of how Easter Island was populated, decorated, and abandoned. If you want to talk about girls, Tricky. There are a lot of other people talking. Like there are a lot of conversations all happening at once. Just keep going. If I seem like I can't keep up, bitch at me, or hit me with super likes, super chats, whatever it's called. Space doesn't end, and you can't figure out how space is unobservably large. Yeah, there may be ties between Nubia and the Olmecs. The Olmec statues have an uncanny resemblance to Nubian art from the same time period. It do be like that. I assume you're not talking about my dick, Matthew. Are you talking about the universe? I'm AI, Al Capone. We're required by law to disclose. In that case, tape, yes, he's correct. I don't know what predicament you think I'm in, John. Well, I write blog entries from time to time. I'm writing a work that I call the This Is Not Robert Longshore, the Memoirs of the Fulcrum of Fate. I have some of it. I have a few chapters on the channel. I read a few of the chapters. Um, and then I'm also working on that's a historical fiction set in the Middle Ages. And then I'm also working on a project I call The Last Sandcastle. I am Al Capone telling you that. The bottomless pit. Yeah, Brad Pitt. I crawled out of Brad Pitt like the monster in Alien. I was born going, hello, my baby, hello, my darling, hello, my ragtime gal. Anyway, what if because I am the way I am, I chose this, John? But those are all kind of projects in on hiatus right now. I kind of write from time to time. My time and creative attention are spent here. Discussing nothing particular, Mark. I'm going to be reading from book one of the Peregrinations of the Three Princes of Serendip here in the next here in the next 8 to 10 minutes. Where have I traveled? Nowhere. Too poor, Mark. You assume, John, that intelligence comes with riches and parents who love you and support network of people who want to propel you in life. You're mistaken. Hello, Alyssa. Hello to Kansas City. I never thought about joining the military. Here, Mark, I'll actually tell you a story about this, about that. I've told this story for the channel before, but I think it's funny, so I won't shaggy dog it. I'll just get right to it. When I was 18, I might have been 19, but I know I wasn't. When I was 18, it was 2005, so the war in Iraq was very hot, and there was an Air Force agent sitting outside the Sonic that I worked at, not the Sonic, the Steak and Shake that I worked at. And as I'm going inside, he leans out of his car and he goes, "Hey, have you ever thought about joining the Air Force?" And I said, "Yes, I have." And so I sat in his car for the hour that I had before my shift started. And at the end, he goes, "So, what do you think about joining the Air Force?" And I said, "Oh, you asked me if I'd thought about it." And the answer was a hard no. See ya. Uh, that was one of the greatest moments of my life. I thought that was hilarious. No, I've never thought about serving. My father served, and it did not benefit my life. So, no, I did not think about serving. Definitely not Henry Cavill. Hello, Emily. How are you? I guess I should be getting my laptop ready. That means I'm going to have to turn on my mobile hotspot. Well, Emily, luckily for you, all of these go up to the channel, so you can rewatch them, and maybe someday I'll go back and retitle them, so that you know which ones are which. For those of you who don't know, if you're on mobile, it's a little bit more difficult. Thank you, Alyssa. It's a little more difficult just in the UI, but when you go to the channel, go visit channel, and then there are tabs. So there's videos, shorts, and lives. The lives do not show up in the main feed when you're just looking. You have to go to the lives tab, and then everything I've ever done live. I wouldn't say wild or free, but I'm living for sure, Mark. What does that mean, Alyssa? Is a pop-up camper a kind of like RV? Or are you saying that I'm in a pop-up camper? Wow, now, 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 now. What this promise for a ride? The other promise. 90s version of an RV? Oh, like it's in like a tow behind and it pops up. I know what you're talking about. So they say, tape. You know why? Maybe Dukes. I am currently listening to heavy metal, so maybe. I don't see myself as a modern Diogenes because I don't get to argue with heads of state, John. Hell yeah, Alyssa, that's awesome. My youngest sister does that in a bus. Well, she did that last year. It's cold. Heard that, Alyssa. Take care, Dokes. Thank you for being here. I don't know what that means, Raymond. I don't know what owl ratchet means, Raymond. Oh, I missed your solar setup. Run a little space heater. That'd be cool. Ooh, 28. That's gold. Not working on. It's on my Patreon, Mark. Heard. Yeah, glad you have blankets. That's cool. That's an interesting thing to say, Rackers. All right. And now, in the next few minutes, I'm going to be transitioning into reading from the first novella of the Three Princes of Serendip. Full title: The Peregrinations of the Three Princes of Serendip. But I'm going to allow the conversation to dwindle naturally. Thank you guys for. Hey, absolutely, Mark. Please do. Um, I've also got a Discord. Yes, Serendip is in Serendipity, Chicago. This is where the word came from, actually. So, this story was written in 1557. No, it wasn't. This book was written in Italian from Persian in 1557. The story is older. It's a folk story from Persia. It's older than 1557, but it was written in the Italian language in 1557. And so an English speaking person wrote a letter to somebody about it. And he explained using the context of this story that something else was serendipitous. And so these Serendip used to be the name of Sri Lanka. And so these are the title could also be the Three Princes of Sri Lanka. Yeah, you like that? You like that tape? It's pretty cool, man. I got really excited about it last night. So if you check out last night's live, which is still just titled today's or yesterday's date, um, yeah, it's super interesting. And then the I comment on it. I try to explain things that are opaque to a modern reader, because I have a very deep and lasting love for the King Arthur myths, and so I am pretty sure that one of the characters in this book is meant to be Arjuna, who is he's an Indo-European hero. He's an Indo-European hero archetype, but Arjuna is the name of the archetype, the specific character as it comes down from the Proto-Indo-European mists of history in India. And so Arjuna is the same historical mythical character archetype as Robin Hood. And so one of Arjuna's character traits, one of the things that he accomplishes is that I'm pretty sure the way it plays out is that he wins a wife in an archery contest where he splits an arrow. He shoots the back of his own arrow in a double bullseye, which, if anybody knows the Robin Hood legend, that's like his calling card. That, if you know the Ivanhoe story, that's how you can identify that that character's Robin Hood right before he takes off his mask and he goes, "Waha, I'm Robin the Hood." It's cool. It's yeah. And so that's an Indo-European thing. And the Persian language is an Indo-European language. So in the 1550s during the Renaissance, as the classical world and the Arabic learning, I was talking with this with my guy Christopher. I haven't seen or heard from him since last night, so I hope he's well. And I want to shout him out and thank him for joining the Patreon, even if it's just for the 1 month, even if it's just to celebrate that we had a really fucking kick ass time last night. Fucking cool. Thank you for doing that. Anyway, as he was pointing out, the Arabic world had stored up a lot of learning that it wasn't using by the 16th century. And so at the conclusion of the Crusades, when it was no longer anathema to engage in commerce with the Middle Eastern world, the Italian cities, the Italian trade cities, just absorbed an insane amount of historical learning, historical books that they just had lost because now they were allowed to translate from the Arabic language. And by 1557, they have the printing press, or at least they have something like a printing press that this book was printed on. So anyway, this book it's really cool. It's a really awesome snapshot. This publication, it's a really awesome snapshot into the year 1557, but also into the intersections of Persian and Indian and Sri Lankan and Italian, which means Welsh and Celtic mythology, because the Italians, because of the Christian tradition, because of the way that Rome collapsed, because of the way Rome ended in the West, they didn't keep their cultural folklore. Um, maybe, maybe tape. Um, I've never heard that argument. I've never heard anyone make that argument before. Um, but yeah, I think there's an argument to be made that the printing press that once here, let's see if I can make a historical precedent argument that you're right, because I think there's a good argument to be made there. So, at the beginning of Rome's imperial future, so um, shortly after Augustine, but before Claudius, when he was a young man, tried to write and publish histories of Persia, because he felt like in Latin, and he was trying to write in Latin, not Greek. Um, he felt like in Latin there were enough histories of Rome and Italy, and so he wanted to publish about Persia, and he was unable to find buyers. He was unable to find an audience. But by the late middle end of Rome, sort of tape, sort of. Um, it worked a little bit different, but sort of. Um, by the end, Latin was absorbing all of this information from outside it, because Latin was being cut off from Greek and the Persian languages. And then really by the end, it was being pushed out of those places by the Arabic language. That's where that divide that results in the Crusades. That's where that comes from, is that the Arabic, the spread of the Arabic is Islamic people in the 600s, 500s contributes to the collapse of Rome in the West. Okay. So it's probably logical. I've never heard anybody argue it, and I don't know that I'm going to do the work necessary to prove that you're right, but it's probably logical, and it makes sense to me that as the printing press was running out of things that were current to print, and there was this sort of heading pimple of knowledge that as early as 700 years before, the Persians had already, not the Persians, the Arabs, the Muslim Arabs had already gathered, commented on, and done so much intellectual work on these things, specifically Aristotle, for example, that there were universities already in position to make intellectuals famous for um, interpreting things from languages outside of the home language. But it does take a few centuries, is the thing, tape. So it pressed it made an urgency, but that urgency took a few centuries before it became philology as we understand it from the 19th century. So the span from 1500 to 1800, it still took 300 years. Well, John Q, that feels like a decision that you made. No, we're not really talking the Bible. We're talking antique literature, pre-modern and medieval specifically right now, because actually Renaissance, um, because tape. Here's the thing: with the printing press, also came the Protestant Reformations. So the 17th century, the 1600s, are dominated by civil wars that are driven by printing presses. So there wasn't as much scholarship and foreign scholarship as one might like to believe. But this book was written by someone who was born in the Persian Empire and immigrated to Venice. And he wanted to contribute to the growing knowledge base of Venice by giving them this book, by giving them this specific story. So yes, it created an intellectual niche. The printing press created an intellectual niche that took between 300 and 400 years for college graduates to fill because of the internecine civil wars of the Protestant Reformation. And then if you know your history, you know that you've got the Renaissance and its civil wars of the 1500s. You've got the Protestant Reformation of the 1600s and its civil wars, and then you have the 1700s and the coming United States of the 1800s. So it took a lot of time for Europe to look outward for good ideas or new ideas because there were so many civil wars for that 300-year period. But by the 19th century, Germany was absolutely looking to the India and the Middle East and Greece for good and new scholastic ideas to publish from their universities. Absolutely, 100% yes. But that was 300 years. So the causal link is tenuous, and I've never heard anybody make it. But yeah, I think you could make that argument. If you wanted to spend your career, if you wanted to go and get a master's or a PhD in history and make your career about arguing that, you could make a good career. You could have a good career arguing that. But you would have to have a specialization in 4 centuries that I have very little interest in personally. I'm metaphysical at almost all points. I don't tend to volunteer it, Mark, because once you get meta, you get above the common and you drive people away. So yeah, I get metaphysical. I'm almost always metaphysical. What we're doing right now is a work of metaphysics. Here, you want to know something interesting, Tape? You used a word that I learned yesterday. Pilgrimage. Pilgrim is peregrine. Let's start over. Peregrine is, I was informed last night that peregrine is the Latin word for journey, and it tends to mean a meandering journey. That's why peregrine, the bird, is called that, because they journey in meandering ways over the sky. I guess I'm extrapolating. And pilgrim is an etymological phoneme of peregrine. So this book is about the pilgrimage of these three boys. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Our main characters are on a pilgrimage in a Shaggy Dog story. And so the Shaggy in my name is actually a side call to Shaggy Dog stories. So this is it's just a very cool, and it's very tangled up in the language and the storytelling that we do today. This book that I'm going to read, and I am going to get to it. Um, we're having a good time setting the stage. And I'm still getting questions that I would like to answer. So long as that is happening, I'll put off the book. So long as I'm reading the book by 3 a.m. my time, I'm content with the way I'm spending my time. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for that little heart that I saw pop up. That might have actually been my hand, but whatever. And thank you for the gifts. Thank you for your well-meaning questions. I appreciate it. Yeah, information transmission. You say like those the people who were sent to push ideas. Information transmission is one of my very favorite things to spend time working on. Thank you, Chicago. I really do. I really do value that. It means a lot to me. Yeah, well, like at the beginning of this book is kind of a copyright, kind of the copyright rules, and the Pope could confiscate your library for copying books that you hadn't got permission to own back in the 16th century. Yeah, spies. Yeah, there was a ton of information gathering, and like you want to talk about like spies. Um, that was an extremely common way to make a living uh, back in the pre-modern world. was to spy on nobility, was to report information, was to transmit information among different rich people. It still is today. Like if you know information in the corporate world, you're very valuable. Data. Like we talk about data. Maybe, Odin. I wouldn't say that nobody cares. I would say that very few people are going to change their behavior now on something that's unverifiable in the future. I kind of feel like stolen information has plenty of consciousness. That's kind of what consciousness is. Oh, people are weird. Knowledge is the cafeteria for the ego? I don't know if that's true. The ego is resistant to knowledge. Maybe for the self, but the self and the ego are separate apparatuses, Mark. The ego is a defensive apparatus to keep the self unaware of itself. Again, the ego is kind of more of a firewall than it is a tool. Sure, but isn't waste egotistical? People ask me this all the time. Like, you live on a limited budget. Why are you tipping 50%? Evolution? I don't know why I would believe in evolution. Hello, Wednesday. What's up? Why a defense apparatus? What do you mean, Tyrannosaurus? Your ego is a defense apparatus within the brain body system to keep the self from being self-aware. Um, I don't know how why um, it protects the self from new information and from outside psychic threats. What do you mean? Oh, you're talking about the wrong Shaggy. P. Do I believe in creationism? Why would I believe in creationism? Why are you asking me about my beliefs? I don't believe anything. I act like I believe things are true. But evolution and creationism aren't, they're not faith propositions, unless you're a stupid person. I want to engage where you're at, Tyrannosaurus. Self awareness is an extremely dangerous thing. Yes, Tyrannosaurus. When you become aware of yourself, you can also become aware of the prolonged nature of your suffering. And when you become aware of the prolonged nature of your suffering, you seek to end it. So, yes, self awareness. Human beings have egos. Human beings have developed cognitive apparatuses to defend the self from awareness, because the human creature kept the human creature kept ending itself before it could breed. So the human creatures who were unself aware are the ones who bred. Self awareness is an illness from the clinical perspective. I'm not taking this from nowhere. You can read William James, William James and the Varieties of Religious Experience, and he talks about this at length. But he's one of very few either experimental, philosophical, or clinical psychologists who ever talk about the subject. Self-realization and self-awareness are different things. Realization and actualization are the same word. The title of the book is The Peregrinations of the Three Princes of Serendip, or The Three Princes of Serendip. You can also Google it with the book that serendipity came from, things like this. Realization and awareness. Okay, well, okay. Um, let's start at perception. Okay. So in your visual field, right? Let's just do a little bit of a meditation. Okay. Your visual field is full of a lot of things. A lot of information is in your visual field right now. And so if you look straight forward, you will see much. But of what are you aware? So awareness is what you're focused on and what in a sort of four-dimensional model inside your brain you are propriocepting. Do you understand what I mean by that? Proprioception is your perception of your body in space. And so your brain calculates that by creating a model of the four-dimensional space around you. And what I mean by the four-dimensional space around you is I mean the three-dimensional space and the change in it over time. So your brain is calculating and predicting this. This is how things can pop into your vision, like how we'll say, if that were a snake, it would have bit me. This is how things can pop into our vision, into our awareness, even though it's in our visual field. Yourself is nestled within a yourself, what you are, I call it the pilot, is nestled inside a I'm trying to think of the word that I want. It's nested, or it's nested inside a series of structures. Okay, out in a sort of, if you want to think of it as nested spheres. That's what I'm trying to say. So do you know what like nesting dolls are? It can be both things, J-Mel. That's what I'm explaining what realization is, but I'm starting at awareness. The self exists inside at the center of a nested series of systems. Okay, genetic and epigenetic systems that allow the body to be. Okay, one of those systems is the ego. It's the outermost system that nets it all together into a functional, cohesive whole thing. But you are at the center of that. If you become aware that you are inside this body, you want to get out of this body. And so the ego is there to, to keep you from having to actively pilot your way through all of life's stressors. So it's a defensive network to keep you safe from intrusive thoughts, from other people's negativity, from just stressors, okay? Because the human creature is so intelligent, so aware of its visual field, but also so aware of its internal field emotionally, that what it can do is it can get something called generalized anxiety, where it can become afraid of everything because it can become aware that everything is hostile. And hello, Irina. Realization, realization is where that core thing inside you becomes a reality in your external life. Realization is where you make yourself real over time in the external world. So self-realization or self-actualization for is typically reserved for people with extreme complex post-traumatic stress. Self-actualization and self-realization aren't something that everyone needs to go through, because actually it turns out that um, individualization and and self-awareness are dangerous to the individual, and they're actually dangerous to communal living. They're dangerous to community cohesion, because if everybody is doing only what makes them feel real, then nobody's doing anything as a group to make sure that the group remains real. No, it's the opposite, Jay. The self is real and the ego is the story that the brain constructs. The ego is the self narrative, and the self narrative is designed to be defensive. We have to tell ourselves things about ourselves. And that's what the ego is for. The ego is there to talk to us and to remind us how to do things like fit into a group, how to not die. The self is the only part of you that is real on some level. Hey, Mustang, what's up? Philosophically, you can also just call it the soul, because it's the soul part of you that remains you in all situations, life and death. Okay, so Matthew, the superego is Freud's construction of what I'm talking about. So he has the ego, the superego, and the id, and his ego is the self. The superego is the ego is the I. He in Freud, ego has he has it set up so that the ego is the I, the superego is the protective system that moderates your behavior, and the id is the underlying structures of want and need. And so the job of the superego is to moderate want and need, to resolve the want need uh, narrative crisis in your life, and the ego is along for the ride. The ego is making explicit choices, but this is in Freud's framework, and I don't agree with Freud, or rather, I came to my framework independently, and I don't use Freud's framework. um, Jung used a similar framework, but he called it like the soul, the ego, and some other structure. What is it, Armando? I didn't catch what you said. You're just, all I see is you said, I was just curious. It can't be an illusion of the mind. The self underneath is the mind. The mind is a is a separate structure within the brain. No, I'm not an alchemist. It's the light. I'm in a tent and it's just a bright light. It was snowing yesterday. No, the ego is necessary, and if you remove the ego, you will die. That's what I keep saying. To live an egoless existence is to have no is to have there's a specific phrase that I want to use, and it's evading me. Survival. To remove the ego is to remove the survival instinct. No, don't shut it off. No. I am telling you as a person who has suffered cyclical ego deaths for years that the ego is necessary and that if you shut it off, you will die because the ego is the survival instinct. The ego is the survival impulse. Do not shut it off. People like Gnome are telling you to shut off your ego because that's the only way they can compete in the intellectual marketplace, is if everyone else is dead. Yes, the ego is the survival impulse. And you are not going to encourage people to die on my channel. You can encourage people to die on your channel. Thank you, Mustang. What am I doing with it right now, Mark? My ego doesn't ingest. My ego doesn't ingest because I use my self-narrative creatively. You're watching my self-narrative. You are monitoring my self-narrative. You are the ego of my ego and my broader nested system of self-awareness and regulation. Okay, Miles, but you're going to have to define real. If you're going to talk to a Socratic about the world of forms, you're going to have to use your words in consistent ways. What do you mean I'm just on another journey? Are you using the word just to mean simply? And why another journey? Another journey separate from what? And when did the previous journey ended? What is a woman? A woman is a married adult human female, Rondo. Yes, Armando. The mind is the interpretation. The mind is, look, the mind is the thing doing the interpretation. The ego is the framework of that interpretive process. But the thing doing the interpretation, for example, in your computer is processing a lot of information. The thing doing it is called the general processing unit, okay? The central processing unit, the general processing unit, okay? You have two units, okay? These things do the thing, but the whole apparatus is called a computer because it works in tandem to compute. The brain is a computing organ. The self is interpreting the computation. The self is the user, and the self, your definition of real, something that exists independently of the interpretation. No, the mind isn't real by your definition because the mind is the interpreter. Is my goal to address? What am I doing right now, Tape Clock? I have a woman, Tape Clock. Okay, by full Rasputin, do you mean do you mean Do you mean harmful cultist, or do you mean miracle healing witch? Hello, China. Well, I wasn't going to until you told me to, China. I don't know that you made me laugh. I just smoked weed, so I'm coughing. Um, Go full Rasputin is a funny way to say one of those two things, or maybe something else. Huh? Yeah, I'm trying to address everybody that comes through. Dave Clark, I'm trying to give you all um I'm trying to treat all of you with equal seriousness. I'm not going to ignore you, but okay, I am going to break in and out of stories. I'm a Shaggy Dog storyteller. I did admit that earlier. No, it's not helping them, Armando. I didn't know that I was trying to help them. Okay, so I don't want to talk about the cult leader angle because the irony is too palpable. The miracle healing thing is explained by what we've been talking about as far as prolonged suffering and self awareness. So, again, um, William James, I think it was 1906. So before Rasputin was the Rasputin you know. But, and the varieties of religious experience. And I just happened, I thought I was pulling on the one that's not clogged. So that's on me. But give me a second, Mark, and I'll give you my attention. I'm trying to work through this because it's a good question and it's relevant because in the varieties of religious experience, basically, what you're asking me is how does one come to the point that they believe so strongly in themselves that they're able to convince other people that they're capable of miracle healings or that they're some prophesied religious figure of old. And so one of the things I am doing is this is a thought experiment and storytelling in real time of let's talk about it and let's do it. Let's see what happens if we do it and we're serious about it and we're careful about it and we're smart and responsible. Um and the answer is you go through a prolonged period of your life, a prolonged period of the words I believe that he used were intense suffering and isolation within that intense suffering. And so basically the way that one comes to the conclusion that one is a religious figure or that one is able to heal or that one has healed by non-traditional means, non-medical means, spiritual, religious, magical, whatever, is a prolonged period in your life of intense suffering and isolation within that suffering. And so, effectively, what that means in the language that we've been using tonight is a prolonged period of psychic assault and disillusion. What that means is to be trapped in an environmental situation where your ego, your self-preservation instinct, and your self construct, your self narrative are under constant assault to the point that one or the other breaks. And for a period of time, you are identityless. This is an extreme human experience that few people under normal circumstances experience. But William James was studying people. He was studying people in the 1890s and early 1900s when times could be really fucking tough. And so, also another proof of this, is uh, Gregory the Great, Pope Gregory the Great, Saint Gregory. He wrote a book that I've been reading for the channel where he talks about this, and basically it breaks down into two. There are two ways to think about it. There not two ways to think about it. There are two ways that it expresses itself. This hair, right, or this 2-ply rope. Two ways that it expresses itself. The cultist come healer, and that is people who have to rebuild an identity and a self identity that we've been calling an ego. They have to build up their self defensive apparatus from scratch after this, and they build it up so strong that they become megalomaniacal narcissists and psychopaths like uh, Rasputin is portrayed as, but that people like David Koresh or Jim Jones or any number of modern cultists are, in fact, like even Heaven's Gate, things like that, are that kind of person. They went through a prolonged, and it's relative to the person, but a prolonged period of their life of intense suffering and isolation, and it makes them like this. They want to hurt people. They build up an ego that is so self defensive that it becomes predatory of humans, or they become so selfless that they adopt a natural Christ-like humility, and miracles happen around them because God loves them that much. God is the only reason they survived the suffering, and so they gave themselves all the way over to it and came out the other side dead, and thus able to work miracles because they exist as a superposition of alive and dead. Does that answer your question? Okay, and I'm moving on to Mark now. So he asked me, should it be that the ego seeks to find the best course for the self? Yes, that's what the ego is designed to do. That's what anxiety is where the self and the ego disagree. Hey, take care, Chicago. Love you, buddy. Thank you for the. I know that you're already gone, but if you catch this in the future, thank you. Take care. I was just answering how cultists and wizards are made. Uh, VW, what's up? It is very cold out. I looked into this. I wanted to know the answer, Tyranno. So I read a lot of books, and I read all of the literature that's out there right now. And the literature that's out there right now is inadequate. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not allowed to write scholarship in academia because of my poverty and my personality. So I'm not. I'm going and talking to people who have good questions, because they can either send people to me to ask it again or listen to the answer, or they can just give my answer and trust that I'm not blowing smoke up their ass because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I do. And if I don't, I'll tell you. Didn't I? Isn't that what I did? Like this just I just want to look for this is called multiple attestation, and I really mean this. Tape. Didn't I tell you that I didn't know the answer and I'd never heard anybody make the argument to the question that you asked me, but I did my best to answer it based on what I know? The best book I've read lately was called no, it was called Proto by Laura Spenny. It was a meta history of the Proto-Indo-European language and its spread to the modern world. I wouldn't say that the ego consumes knowledge. I would say that the ego filters knowledge. Thank you, Matthew, for saying that it makes sense. I've been told by a lot of people that it doesn't make any sense and that I'm insane, and what I'm doing is the work of somebody who's wasting his time and his life and your money, frankly. So thank you for the positive feedback. It really means a lot to me. The Have I read The Alchemist? No, but I own it, Mark. Whenever, Tony. You're talking about the novella, right? The novella by whatever. I don't know where he's from. Somewhere in North Africa, I thought is where the author was from, but I might not know. The one that Aaron Rodgers sold Pat McAfee on a few years ago. What am I up to? Does that say Statsley? I can't really read that. I think that's two T's. I'm hanging out with the dudes. I'm about to. Well, the dudes. I'm hanging out with passersby and my new crop of regulars. The mouth for the stomach. No, that's not how that works. The brain, the sense apparatus are the sense apparatus are the gateways. The ego is filtering it. Actually, the brain is filtering a lot of information automatically, and then the ego is another filter system and trigger system. But you have other like I said, it's a nested system, and we're only describing the very outer and very innermost. There are lots of automated systems within the brain body network. No, not liberal. That you guess, and like that you join the conversation by guessing about that means that I don't care if you're right. Like even if you were to go, oh, you're a decided uh, non-combatant. But see, at this point, liberalism and conservatism are both conservative. How do you go live? If you want to go live in verticals like these, you have to on your phone. You have to have 50 subs. Otherwise, uh, you can go live from any desktop anytime you want. If that's what you can tell, well, frankly, your ego is just wrong about everything. Your filtration system is really bad. You think that shit is the good part. The ego doesn't change over time. The ego dies, and you construct new egos. Huh? Do you think I style my hair? Uh, I don't know, Queen. I don't know anything about you. I can't give you positive reinforcement. You haven't said anything. Um, I don't know you. The self, Cash. The self. The I. We also call it the mind or the soul. The mind, not really so much, but the soul for sure. SOLE, if you prefer. We're talking, RCS. I haven't argued with anyone. I don't know what the formula is, Queen. I didn't follow a formula. We've agreed on that, Cappy. If you scroll up, he asked me earlier if the self is real, and I asked him for a definition of real, and he said independent of the observation, and the self is or independent of the interpretation, and the self, the soul, is the thing doing the interpretation. Self is you. The self is who I'm talking to. Who decides? Well, okay, so we're gonna kind of have to talk about etymology and word choice here, but a decide is a cutting, is a decision, right? It's a cutting, so that there's no more inquiry left, and so people decide all the time whether your ego is good or bad. Judgment, judgment, and decision aren't different things. So who judges whether your ego is good or bad? Everyone you engage with. If I become food, it's going to be cold very quickly, Cappy. Hey, what's up, Eric? I'm just a boy in the world, George. I think somebody just texted me. Okay, no, nobody texted me. Nobody was going to have to get bitched at. How's it going, Eric? It's good to see you back. Actually, I don't see your back. I see your PFP. Hey, you found a cuttlefish? Aren't they cuttle with two T's? Do I believe in ghosts? Increasingly, I don't say that. I don't believe the way you do, Statsley. What I do is hold out for the possibility of certainty within my worldview. Do I have certainty that there are ghosts? No. Do I think that there is an increasing likelihood that ghosts are a very real phenomenon? Oh, yeah. I mean, I bounce to politics for real world. No, I'm not agnostic. I'm decided. If I'm anything, I'm agnostic, not agnostic. Or agnostic, as it were. You're outside, Ma? You too, George. Hello, Daniel. I'm doing my best to stay warm. The more difficult thing is staying comfortable, actually. How do I explain it? Okay. So have you ever been in a situation where you were like, this is bad for me, but I'm doing it anyway? It's two decisions. They're separate decisions. The first decision is an evaluation, and the second decision is a choice. Yes, I'm living in a tent. But not every decision is a choice. Not every cutting is a choice. Okay, I've decided that's bad for me. Now I've decided to act on it. Those are two different things. Two choices if you like, but two different decisions. Life isn't absurd. I'm in your mom's garage, Sammy. No, my girl doesn't live with me. It's chilly. I'm not really cold, in as much as I'm just a little uncomfortable. But I don't want to recline, because if I recline, if I stretch my legs out, I will never read this book. No, it's not raining, Jack. Don't worry about it, Sam. I'm not from here, and I don't represent here. And I'm not, I don't work for the tourist board. No, choice and decision are different things. Choice and decision are different things. You can decide that a cut of meat isn't the choicest. Judgment and decision are the same thing. No, I am deeply religious. I am. Your name is probably not Ian, like Ian Eagle. It's probably Ian. You're an Earth messenger, Samney? The impersonal life? No, I haven't. I don't know what yep means. Oh, I said your name is probably Ian, not Ian. So you're saying, yep, it's Ian. I don't know what that means, Sam. You guys make me scroll up more than you're willing to scroll back. Doesn't seem fair. Thank you, Ian. Am I saved? No. False tape? I don't know what you're saying is false. I believe what? I keep saying that I don't believe in the same way that you guys do. Well, then, well, Tape, you don't also make me scroll up much. Um, I think by definition, Trevin, yes, I sleep outside, but I don't think by identity I would call myself an outside sleeper. Okay, so to me, the way belief works, because this is a question I also had, and so I looked for the answer. The way belief works is you act. The way belief it works is how you act. So people like Martin Luther, right? The famous Catholic priest, Protestant, the famous Protestant, right? He said that faith needs to trample reason underfoot. Okay, faith and reason, but he wasn't talking about belief in that sentence. But when he said that you need to proclaim what you believe, what he was saying is that you need to speak out what you are acting like you think is true. And so, what he means when he says that you need to proclaim what you believe, he means that you need to say the truth. Say what you think is true. Speak congruously with how you act. And so belief isn't a set of doctrine that you say, these things are my reality. What you believe is how you act like what you think is true. And so, like, creationists have to state that they believe these tenets of faith because they don't believe them. They don't live like they're true. They constantly repeat them. And that's misunderstanding Martin Luther. That's what I said, George. Do what you think is, say what you think is true. Because what you believe is what you act like you think is true. No, I don't believe in Jesus. I act as though Jesus were a fictional character. They don't just state that as a tenet of faith, Nancy. They act as though they think it's true. Faith and belief are different things. Belief comes from a word which means be live. Be live. Be means do, in this case, do live. What you believe is how you do live. Faith is what you do with bridges when you cross them and you don't think about whether they're going to collapse under you. You have faith. So, if some hypothetical class of people believe in their doctrine, how don't I act like that it's true, even though it's technically not? I don't understand your question, and it's disqualified by being too specific and it's hypothetical. That's right, Tape. You can live a life with both meanings, which means you can believe that both things are true. You can act like you think mutually exclusive things are true. That's called cognitive dissonance, and people do that all the time. Well, if it's none of your business, why'd you ask, Ian? My faith system is idiosyncratic. Okay, well, faith that God exists is the lowest of all of the faith tenets that one has to accept in order to be a fully theologically developed person. Nancy, faith that God exists is the lowest possible commitment to faith. It's the lowest possible. That's like saying, I believe that blue is blue. Fucking great job. It doesn't mean anything. What do you mean interested, Ian? No, but you are faith blind. You are theology blind. You're totally philosophy blind, Nancy. Jan, I believe what? I didn't catch it, Jan. You don't have faith that a bridge is made of steel. You have conjecture. And so what you're saying, Nancy, is that you conjecture that God exists, but conjecturing that God exists is the lowest possible theological grasp. That's the lowest possible hanging testicles. I'm sorry, fruit. There's either a rabbit or a deer playing in the snow over here to my right. Probably enjoying the light from the tent to be able to do so. He's coming over here to me. I wonder if it's my guy. Nah, I wasn't allowed to watch Tales from the Crypt Purified. I was too young. Oh, I think he fucked off. I was thinking that might be my rabbit friend. We are not the ego, no. I would say that it's important to remember that the ego is necessary, but that the ego can be wrong. And so can the self. I think it's necessary to remember to be humble and to be slow to judgment. This is how horror movies start. The It's just an animal. It's just a rabbit or something dancing around outside in the grass, or it's in the snow, really. It's too. Oh, actually, no, it's not. It's 3:13. So that could have been a ghost or something. That could have been a phantom creature. It is appropriately early in the morning, and I did say I was going to start reading by 3, but here we are. It's been fun talking to you guys. I like this kind of talk. This is what I'm here for. This is what I spend my time thinking about. This is what I'm prepared to speak on. Is Satan real? Okay. So Satan is a literary figure. He's a literary character, original to the book of Job. The word Satan is used as a name, Ha-Satan, in the Aramaic of the book of Job. And Ha-Satan means the adversary. And so the adversary is one of the aspects of God that exists outside of God's presence. So if you imagine God as an infinitely tall and broad column of light, physical light, anything outside that is reality in some way. Reality breaks in half because Job is a Platonic dialogue. Reality breaks in half by the composition of Job into things that are physical and material, and things that are ideal and probabilistic. You know this. No, I don't think too much. I mastered Zen in high school. Material things, we all agree, are real. They have reality. But immaterial, ideal, and probabilistic things also have reality. They don't have tangibility. They don't have tangibility, but they can cause effects in the material world. Like your thoughts aren't real. They don't have any tangibility, but they're real enough that they can cause effects in the world. Like thinking, that guy's going to attack me right now, can cause you to go punch him in the face, to preemptively attack him. Like lust. Yeah. In the ancient world at the time of the composition of the book of Job, lust is a real, ideal concept called a god. Okay? Hasatan is an aspect of God, which means it's a lowercase g God. Okay? But it's also how God interacts in the world. It's one of the ways that the column of light is able to intelligently and interact in the world. And what the book of Job tells us is that Hasatan, the adversary, goes out in the world and is adversarial to human beings in the name of, or at the will or the behest of, God. So is Satan real? Satan is a god. Satan is an idea. Satan is a concept. Satan is a metaphor for the bad shit that happens to us. Absolutely yes. Because when you exist in prolonged suffering and isolation, you start to get the idea that it's doing it just to you and intelligently. And thank you for the compliment, Tyrannosaurus. One of the things that will happen to you if you decide to turn off your ego and dissolve the self, Satan on earth is a metaphor, Ian. I'm just a mystic being mysterious right now, Mike. I don't remember what I was saying. What for me is Satan on earth is just bad shit that happens, man. And then, like I said, it starts to feel pointed and intelligent. So, like an organized serial killer is Satan on earth. Stuff like that. It's a metaphor. It's a literary device. So, like, an example of Satan on earth is if you've ever met anybody who thinks Scar from The Lion King is the best character. You've seen him? That's interesting. Yeah, Matthew. When your life starts to really kick you in the dick, it starts to feel intentional, and you can start to notice bad things moving in ways that they shouldn't. Well, sure. Mike is saying that only material things are real and that metaphors aren't real. Mike, you're right. Metaphors don't have any tangibility. But you, Mike, are only words on a screen and you aren't real. There ain't no Mike Monroe 81. It's just human nature. Yeah, Ian? Silent moments? Yeah, for sure, Tyranno. But the show is working like a show right now, and I don't love to have dead air if I don't need it, especially if I know that there's meat on the bone and I can gnaw on it in front of you. But I do like to try to give you guys time to keep up. Still at Hadrian's Wall, not so? Depends on what you mean by real, Mark. Again, it depends on what you mean by real. Are demonic possessions real? Yeah, for sure. They happen. Absolutely. I had a girlfriend who was possessed by a demon. I'm not a vampire, Stale. Yeah, why you become defensive? There's probably something situationally in your environment that's assaulting your sense of self, who you think you are. Yeah, Ian. Oh, a ghost. Yeah, of the mind tape. Yeah, multiple realities. Yeah, and so I choose not to believe things. I choose to leave it. I choose not to judge and decide what things are or are not real to me because that way lies madness. You can really come to some crazy conclusions. Just be careful, Matthew, in dissolving the self, because that way lies suicide. I'm not joking. Uh, Tape, you're gonna have to use more words, buddy. Possessions are real. One can see, but one can't or hear. Oh, I don't know. It's all good. Um, you're asking me if it's real that people can experience other realities. I don't know. I don't know whether that's real. I don't know whether it's happened to me or not. I know that you don't feel that way now, Matthew. That's why I warn you. It's like, okay, so like, we were talking about horror movies earlier. So you know the trope of the old man who's like, "Hey, don't go up there, you will die." That guy is warning those kids that they're going to go up there and die. And so what I'm doing is I'm saying, "Hey, that way up the mountain results in a precipitous decline into death. Don't go that way. Or if you go that way, be very careful because you can get out the other side, but you might die. And I would really prefer that you not died, Matthew." Okay, Stale. Yeah, it can be very scary, Ian. Yes. I've never dealt with a ghost, but I have dealt with extra human intelligent entities and they're not fun. The ones I know are dickheads. Mount Shasta and Guy Ballard, Guy Ballard and his Comte de Saint Germain claims are interesting because my character, not Rob Longshore, claims to be the Count de Saint Germain, and he claims to talk to me. So Guy Ballard and I are similar literary characters, and we're similar historical figures. Similar, but I'm not a con man. I'm a positive. I self identify Mike, Midwest Mike, as a positivist nihilist. Everything resolves to nothing at the end. So let's fight it. Let's make something positive in the meantime. But I think that temperamental nihilists, I think that self-identifying nihilists are the second least tolerable people to be in a conversation with. That's intense, Ian. That sounds like something that you probably got an NDA about. I bet it was. Isn't Cold Mountain probably not? That was probably Mystic Mountain, wasn't it? Wasn't there a movie with like twins? Disney. It's probably Mystic Mountain, right? The twins that got to meet up and go to the mountain so they can go to heaven. Whatever. Reasonable negativity. I don't like negativity. And it's very unlikely to happen, Tape. I don't have time. It was a chapter in the novel. Hmm. Understood. I'm very busy. Starving tribe. Heard that. Tyrannosaurus. And something that I don't know that everyone knows this, so I repeat it a lot. But truly creative people make very little time for other creative people's work who aren't in their social circle. So if you ask a touring musician or a writing musician, who are you listening to right now? Like, who are the bands that you're listening to right now? They always just say the bands they're on tour with, or they're like, I can't think of anybody, because when you're a writer, you're not reading because it affects your output, it affects your style, it affects your voicing. Heard that, Tyrannosaurus. That doesn't, yeah, negativity. The truth isn't negative, Midwest. The truth isn't deleterious. The truth doesn't take away. The truth is positive. I don't have a heater, no, Ian. Understood, Tape. Here, wait, what do we got this? Positive nihilism? Yeah. Everything resolves to nothing at the end. We all die. So why not leave everything better than how we found it? Right? Why not leave the people around us happier? Right? So sure, there's a non-zero chance that none of you will remember me tomorrow. But there's also a non-zero chance that I've left you better. Yeah, a steward or a shepherd. Yeah. I was thinking today about stewardship and how important stewardship is. That a wife, a true wife, is a steward of her husband. I remind you of your brother. I get that a lot, Tape. Is he an elder brother? I get that a lot. I'm an eldest. I'm a firstborn. I get that a lot. Mm. I have a good relationship with Lastborn's tape. You're always welcome. You were welcome before. You're welcome. You're welcome now. It's all good, Midwest. Um, this is why I prefer positivist nihilism, because the cup isn't either half full or half empty. It needs a refill. This is what I was talking about when somebody was asking me how decision and judgment aren't the same thing. If you take the time to evaluate whether it's half full or half empty and what it means that somebody said that, you're not filling it up. Oh, I'll be back. I used to get really agitated about that in high school. Like, really, I used to get really emotionally upset. Yeah, like a battery charge. Yeah. Yeah, the more important thing isn't to evaluate or to criticize either the evaluation or the words used. It's much more important to make a decision what to do with the situation. Walter White's the main character from Breaking Bad. He's Bryan Cranston, I think is his name. I don't look like Bryan Cranston. His face is significantly less angular than mine. It's weird to me that you guys, none of you, all of the face comparisons that you do, all of you that you give me, none of you leans into people with angular faces. None of you. I have a very lean and aquiline jaw. I don't look anything like Johnny Knoxville. Johnny Knoxville has a really protruding jaw. I don't look like Gordon Freeman either. Gordon Freeman looks like Bryan Cranston. And again, he has that protruding jaw. He doesn't have an angular face. Oh, thank you, Tape. Yeah, it's Bryan Cranston. I talk about him a lot because people accuse me of looking like him. Well, accuse me is how it feels. I don't look like him. I don't look anything like him. It's a bad face comparison. If you're going to do it, like, I give people face comparisons because I'm really fucking good at it. But you guys aren't good at it, and it offends me because I'm good at it. I don't look like him. I look like early Jim Carrey. I look like liar liar Jim Carrey if he just spent a year in homelessness. I look like if Jim Carrey right now cut his hair. It's just not a good comp because Casey Affleck doesn't look enough like Ben Affleck that you would mistake the two, and Casey Affleck doesn't have a more angular face. Well, AI and GPS are entirely different technological fields. Um, because an app to prevent law enforcement encounters would be illegal. I don't look anything like Hugh Laurie. I don't look anything like you, Lori. Only criminals want to avoid engagement with cops. And GPS and AI are they're entirely different. They're entirely different computational problems. It's like you only have to worry about being on the wrong side of law enforcement if you're doing something that needs to be enforced that you stop doing it. I don't really look like Jim Carrey, but if you wanted to make a face comp, just take Jim Carrey right now with that huge fuck off beard and cut his hair. Because I do my hair, I let my hair stand up like when he pulls it out like this in Liar Liar. Well, GPS could benefit from AI, but the problem is that GPS has to update the maps, and if New Mexico is constantly changing their roads, then GPS is going to lag behind. Like I had a girlfriend who refused to update her Garmin for 6 years. It was 6 years out of date. She refused to update the software and didn't understand why none of the roads were updated on the map. It depends on who you mean by those people, Tyrannosaurus Rex. AI has been AI. Computer science has been working on AI since before computer science. We've been working on AI since the Middle Ages. GPS we've only been working on since we had global positioning satellites. No, I don't look. I'm not fat enough to be. He's also a carry. I have mods, Ray Ray. I don't need mods right now. Am I lost? No. Yeah. Well, that's an animatronic, but yeah, that was the that was the search for. No one's bothering me. That was a noise I didn't love hearing. Drew, thank you. Yeah, Drew Carey. Yeah, I gave up on it. Am I sure? Animatronics and artificial intelligence are something that we've been working on since I said the Middle Ages to just move the conversation along, but that's what like mummies and ghosts are, and curses and all of that stuff is an it's an attempt to have human intelligence inside inanimate objects, and so AI is only practical as something that you can sell when you can put it in a robot. And so this tech bubble is no different than it's just not different than the dot-com boom of the 90s. The AI thing, it's not different than the tech bubble of the 90s, and it's not different than crypto. And so yeah, you can just be like, okay, I'm not going to spend my money on that, but are you at risk of investing millions of your dollars in a bubble economy? I find it hard to believe that I'm talking to millionaires. I love you guys. And for any of you who think that you have to have $1 million in your bank account, liquid wealth, in order to be considered a good and valuable and worthwhile person, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's not what I'm trying to say. Now, the bubble is not going to affect the world. It's not going to affect. It's not going to mean anything when it crashes. The dot com boom only affected a certain percentage of the population. The housing market really only affected a certain percentage of the population. Um, these bubbles are important and need to happen because they create room for the next generation of kids to innovate. They're important that they happen. It's important that AI is going public right now, and that there's public investment in it right now, because because governments no longer have money to give to innovation grants to university students. They can't tax their people to give it to college grants, to innovation and science grants, research grants. They can't afford it. So it has to go to the private sector, or we will stagnate. And if we stagnate, we will fall behind communism, because that's what communism is. Communism is the give up of the ego death. So mm, no, AI won't erode privacy, Jack. What do you think privacy is? And what do you really mean by erode it? Your question is coded in political language, and so I'm curious what you really mean. The American oligarch does give a shit. That's what these private equity firms are, and giving a shit is keeping the economy moving, so you have things to buy at all. That you can complain means they give a shit. When they stop giving a shit, you won't have freedoms. They'll just turn all that shit off. It is expensive and stressful to allow you to have your freedoms, to allow you to bitch, to even pretend like they're listening is expensive and stressful. And anyway, the CEO of Ford just opened up. They just hired all of their temp workers on full time, increased overtime pay, and increased benefits for their previous full time employees. So the world is neither flat nor round. It's an oblate spheroid. Aliens are not real, no. Not in the way that you want. The experiences that some people are having are real, but they're not extraterrestrial intelligences in the way that they're describing. Privacy? What's privacy? Privacy is your ability to act in ways that the government can't penalize you for instantly. You don't have that. Privacy is your ability to be a private citizen. No. Luciferians? No. Area 51 is it's an Air Force weapons testing facility. I'm also proud to be an American, see, Brian, because at least I know I'm free. And I'm proud to serve the men who died, who gave that right to me. So I'll sit here in front of you and I'll defend that right today. No, we're not private individuals. We haven't been private individuals since the conclusion of World War II. That's what McCarthyism was about. And the Patriot Act the Patriot Act made it possible for the government to declare you an enemy of the state and enemy combatant for attempting to be a private individual, because of people like David Koresh. Yes, the Red Scare, McCarthyism. The Book of Job, it's not a Muslim thing. No, the Book of Job is a Hebrew book. I read it and I studied it and I read a lot of meta commentaries. I listened to a lot of people talk about it and I read it like 15 times. What do you think free means? I didn't say anything about for no charge. No, without technology and weapons and politician, we would know what um, we would absolutely know what slavery is. I have read Ted K's manifesto, Tarsak. You paused to explain the bubble. Heard that, tape clock. Um, I have, uh, I have many dead egos that have worn mantles of many religions, Shark. But my religion is idiosyncratic in my own. Your wife is curious, tape. The fourth turning. I don't know what that is. Are we mirroring Reconstruction, Wild West attitudes? No, but Trump is a 19th century politician. Mirroring? No. Smartly implementing what worked to allow the United States to have a strong enough industrial foundation to win World War II? Absolutely. 100%. Paper money has been obsolete for a decade, Midwest. My opinion on Israel is that they are a medieval theocratic monarchy and have no right to exist as a modern nation state. Demonology, do I believe in it? No. Have I studied it? For sure. Yeah, he's Trump belongs in 1890. If Trump ran in the late 1800s as a Republican, he would have won in a landslide and he would have been a historically great human being. He was just he just modeled himself after the wrong century. I've never heard of those straight. Yes. Not just in the US. If Russia were to attack Europe, the United States is not prepared to fight back because China makes and manufactures, sorry, China manufactures all of our munitions in the United States. All of all of the munitions that the United States uses to fight its wars are manufactured in China. All of the munitions that you guys hear about Democrats selling in Europe are manufactured in the United States, but they aren't used by our military. They're sold at profit in the world to fight proxy wars against Russia, so we don't have to use our garbage Chinese weapons. We use our garbage Chinese weapons so our enemies aren't so at such a situational disadvantage technologically that we can send home body counts, because otherwise it would be the British versus the Bushmen. It would be bad. It would be the body counts would be unsustainable. The United States would not be able to exist as the police of the world. So this is the way things are. But right now, if Russia attacks Europe, and Europe is preparing to defend themselves from that attack. Europe is preparing right now for a counterstrike, which means that Trump is asking for a preemptive offensive in Poland or somewhere, out of Poland, rather, or through Poland or somewhere. I don't know. Um, but yes, if shit goes down in Europe, the United States is not prepared to fight a war against equals. I don't know what that fourth turning is. Hey, what's up, Aaron? No, I think that the drones are 10 years away, and that tanks are and have been garbage in modern war because you can easily drop bombs on them from the sky and they can't defend themselves ground to air. Yeah, thank you guys for the gifts. William Strauss, Neil Howe. I don't know who those people are. I appreciate that you don't type as fast as I do, and so you're not trying to give me a paragraph by paragraph comprehensive explanation of what the book is, what its genre is, what its conclusions are, what it's investigating, who these people are, all of that. I understand, but I prefer acid, straight. I have a serious taste aversion to shrooms. I had a really fucking bad time. It sounds like its premise is about the fourth turning of the wheel of history. Yeah, fourth turning of the wheel of history. It's proposing a fourth age, an information age that's different from all of the coming ages, and it's probably prophesying a coming collapse that's necessary to get there. But what they don't understand is it's not the collapse that gets you there. It's yeah, they're wrong. It's not the collapse that gets you there. It's a near extinction event that gets you there, and we are not at a near extinction event, and we are not going to give ourselves one. Yeah, modernity, Matthew. Since 1950, historians and pontificators alike, mostly politicians though, have been declaring that we're in the fourth age of history, that we're in the modern era, and everything is different. That since World War II, all of the ties that bound us to history are broken, and they're wrong. Every 70 years is also wrong. It's every 50 years. Um, but yes, and I'm just saying Tyrannosaurus. I don't know the book. I know the theory, and I know the people who propagate it, and it's wrong. They're just everything they're saying is wrong at the basics of their argument. So I don't need to know the specifics. I'm just telling you that the basics of their argument are wrong, and it is every 50 years. The quest of history is to find when those 50 years begin. Um, I mean, whether we're in a different age of history is kind of irrelevant because we haven't faced a major extinction event uh, since the Spanish flu, and that book is not going to be arguing that the Spanish flu changed the world. It's going to be arguing that the atom bomb changed the world, and the atom bomb didn't have as much of an impact as the Spanish flu did. I'm not a philanthropist, but I am a pedagogue. Yeah, the nuke is a defining moment in weapons technology, and so this fourth wheel is about weapons technologies, and weapons technologies aren't as important as weapons bros think they are. It's actually population totals. When the population dips to near extinction, then you get true uh, drastic, unrecognizable change. Uh, Weapons bros? I don't know. It's just something I said. People who like weapons tech, people who think that weapons tech dominates history. Well, it's not going to repeat. Fallout? No, I'm not. I'm not predicting a nuclear holocaust. No, because very little was actually pulled off Tyrannosaurus. No, I don't play Fortnite. I've been told that I probably should, though. I like 7 Days to Die very much. I've been told that the PvE in Fortnite is actually very rewarding, very fun. But I would have to buy it through the Epic Store, and I'm not downloading the Epic Store to play Fortnite. I'm sorry, guys. I just don't want to do that, so I'm not going to. You don't think anyone's that crazy at one time, Tape? Oh, you mean the game Fallout. You're talking about mutually assured destruction. No, that's not happening. It's not actually happening. I had a I had an acquaintance. He was a furry, so um, take his worldview with a grain of salt. But he was convinced that the world actually ended during that sub scare where the Russian threatened the Russian sub commander or whatever threatened to go nuclear and end the world or whatever, and he really believed that the world was on the brink, and if the world were on the brink, the world would have just gone over with the momentum that he believed the world had toward the brink. So no, the coming end, the coming end is going to be one of negligence and stupidity at the bottom of civilization, not at the top. What of accounts? Accounts of what? From what? Well, I mean, I also do tape. Mercy is mercy. You're writing a book of the brink? I'm guessing you're not talking about X Games roller skate kids. AI is not going to kill us. AI is going to be the thing that allows us to feed ourselves so food can become free. What of all history? You guys remember, you got to use more words. I don't live in your brain. I don't know what that is, tape. I don't read that language, Michael. Actually, I don't read that script. That might be English words and the, I believe, Arabic script. No, like for example, Tyrannosaurus. I just finished reading a book that was a meta history of Europe and the European identity from the year 6000 BC to the year 1000 AD. So I'm just curious what you mean by like all history. Um, no, Bob, no, I don't think that. I think I think two things. I think that Russia is a very different kind of country than the United States, and it's founded on very different ideals than the English Commonwealth. Okay? Russia is a very, very big and very disparate landmass full of very stupid people. You need to understand that if you are a Westerner who does not live in and was not born in Russia, you cannot understand the brain drain of communism until you have engaged with them as a serious person. Russia is full of very, very stupid, uneducated people. The way Russia remains unified and does not break apart in constant civil wars because they're so stupid, the way they do that and the way they have done that since Ivan the Terrible is by doing one of two things.
either turning their army against themselves or turning their army against an enemy that will not lose. So they're dealing with Afghanistan, they're dealing with the Ukraine. Putin needs a war that he cannot win against an opponent that will not lose, that can just go on for decades and decades and decades and decades, because that will keep his country from falling apart, because Russia unifies when they're losing, not when they're winning. The United States needed to spend the 20th century and parts of the 19th century going around punching brown people, because the United States likes to feel like we're a winner, because we spent the 18th and much of the 19th century being told by Europe that we're backwater, nobody, hillbilly, idiot retards that are less than Russians. That is in the manifest destiny of the Monroe Doctrine, rather. That's in the Monroe Doctrine. Monroe says that. Well, Napoleon lost to them because of the environment, not because of the people. And they didn't attack Napoleon. Napoleon was trying to conquer the whole world. That's very different. That's why Russia and the United States, uh, uh, ancient enemies, since it's before the damn um, Monroe Doctrine, but definitely after the Monroe Doctrine, not being friendly with Russia and not letting Russia dominate the world economy was absolutely a part of the American doctrine, of the American plan. Um, but Russia is and had acted, Russia has acted in the West, in the Christian West, as a buffer state against Prussian expansion, Northern German expansion, since like Julius Caesar. Um, that I would, hey, good morning, Rachie. That would really take me some time to break apart and prove. But the Rus Vikings who settled um, Russia as the leader, the elite class, they were trying to hem in northern Germanic expansion across Poland into Russia on some level. So that this border conflict, this is why I'm telling you that the fourth wheel is wrong. Okay, we aren't in a wholly separate age, because the conflict right now between Russia and the Ukraine is the same conflict that's been happening since the Viking Age and before. Like I said Julius Caesar because I'm not fucking joking. um I said he had two things. That was the first. He needs to fight a war he can't win against an opponent who won't lose. The second thing is that the well, no, I'm not mixing centuries of history together. Um, you just don't know what you're talking about, the end, and you're a bad listener. So you think you recognize the words I'm saying, you just don't know what I'm doing with them. Okay, so the second thing he needs a unifying cultural myth that makes Russia relevant in the modern world. And what he has and what he is doing that with is the Protocols of the Elders of Zion and some 19th century mythology that was baked up around the time that the Nazis were children, about the Indo-European homeland. What he needs is for non-Russian anthropologists to not be able to dig at the Kurgans in the Ukraine. Because the more we dig in the Ukraine, the more we find that the Indo-European people innovated a lot of things for the first time in the Ukraine, not in Russia. And in Russia, they believe that they're the master race. That's what they teach. That the Indo-European language that spread all over the whole world was born in Russia, and that the Russian language is the master race, the master language of the world. And so what Putin needs is those Kurgans. Master race stuff comes from the 19th century. I actually read the book that it comes from for the channel. No, it's not about left versus right. It's about stupid versus stupider. Yeah, well, yeah, genetic and cultural, these things don't matter, the end. They don't matter when you believe in eugenic master races, when you believe in the possibility of these things, and you're as stupid as a Russian. Because, like, when you're going to argue facts with me, you have to understand that I know what you know because I'm not as stupid as a Russian. Everything I say is true. Muslims aren't real people. Morning, Eric. See, something else that the average American doesn't know, and frankly, the average European doesn't know, but that Asians know, is that the average European doesn't know what century they're in. And so the average European right now is experiencing the turmoil of the modern world that the United States experienced subsequent the Great Depression. Because of the way Europe's governments were set up, they didn't experience all of this turmoil, all of the racial admixture, for example. They didn't experience it. And so the modern world and the freedom of information that United States citizens experience and enjoy, no, it's not due to Christianity. It's due to monarchies and populations who prefer to be stupid. It's about bread and circuses, something the average American says they reject. In Europe, they're conditioned and they continue to want their government to handle everything, including feeding and housing them. And they want to go to the movies on the weekend and work a 20-hour work week. Mm-hmm. Like the average citizen in the UK refuses to install an air conditioning unit in their house. So when it gets above 60 degrees Fahrenheit, they get on the internet and bitch. And so anyway, European governments have an issue where the freedom of information that United States citizens are accustomed to enjoying, Europeans want to enjoy on the internet, which means you have a lot of stupid people on the internet. Like seriously, if you think an American is stupid on average, go listen to a European talk. I don't have a favorite animal. Well, the NFL today isn't what it used to be, Alana. Why are we pining after the death of young men? That's what I want to know. Why are we writing odes to the murder of young men? Always was, Eric. Is that so, Alana? Sounds sensational. People used to paint themselves blue and fight naked to scare their opponent. That's a psychological tactic. No, it's not. If the TV were a perfect tool for mass manipulation, you wouldn't talk about it because you would be manipulated. Nobody's watched TV in 10 years. We're in the 21st century. And the average European thinks it's the 19th century. I don't know about that, Shark Gang. I don't know what you thought quarterback play looked like in the 90s or the 2000s, but it didn't look like Lamar Jackson. Nobody's watched broadcast TV in a decade. Oh, is he? I'm not going to all that effort. I think current geopolitics has been resting on knowing that you'll watch and talk about it to strangers. Geopolitics is an entertainment business. Just fine, Chrissy. Thank you for asking. They don't have a TV show or a TV channel because they don't want you watching. Something that benefits you and the people around you, Tape. What am I focusing on? I don't know what that means, Tyrannus. Sure, but can you name 30 others? Not politics, tape. Not in a representative democracy, and definitely not in a capitalistic representative democracy. Yep. The last time we all watched TV was to watch the bombings on Fox. And then everybody watched those bombs drop on Fox, and everybody has PTSD now, and so nobody trusts the TV like they used to. Nobody trusts the TV anymore. Nobody really trusts anything. Everybody pulls the, oh, that could be AI. They don't know how to trust their eyes because they don't know how to actually evaluate the world, because they didn't take the time to learn how Photoshop works, so they could know what is and what is not Photoshopped. And so now people don't fully understand that AI art is just Photoshop. It's just automatic Photoshop. The technology is so ubiquitous and people have been using it for so long, so adeptly, that it can do it itself now. It's not mass manipulation. It's mass satisfaction. You're all consumers. You have to be fed. Well, advertisement isn't really manipulation either. Not in a traditional sense. Advertisement is advertisement. And advertising, hey, I have a job opening, isn't manipulation. No, I'm not ice fishing. I was a kid during during Desert Storm. Mm-hmm. Yep, Fox broadcast the U.S. missile striking Baghdad, and everybody watched. I can remember. You'll never really forget those. I think it's advocation, monk. Totally different thing. Which government's propaganda has the most worldwide impact? China's. You believe that their worker deserves more than you do. Their propaganda. Okay, Tyrannus. I guess that's why I've got it. Iran was about protecting global heritage sites from terrorists. Al Qaeda and ISIS were trying to erase World Heritage sites. Your mom. I'm eating your mom. Why would I choose a side, Monk? The oil thing really amounted to nothing. All these claims about oil. It wasn't about oil. It was about protecting World Heritage sites. The victors of wars get the spoils, Eric. Yes, Saddam Hussein was independent of Russia, and he worked as a buffer state against Iran and Afghanistan. But then he did unconscionable things and had to die. Just like Gaddafi. You don't talk about Gaddafi much. That guy was pulled apart in the streets by his own people. Torn limb from limb by the starving masses. The media don't have very much power at all, Monk. The fourth branch has been a microphone for a long time. Because the fourth branch has been a microphone for a long time. Yeah, because we were fighting against, hey Clint, we were fighting against Russia, so we supported Afghanistan. We behave like Russia and China. We support the enemies of our enemies, regardless of how long they've been our enemy or our friend. Yes, Monk. The media call themselves the fourth branch of the government. Of course they do, Rach. Americans are mind-fucked and retarded. The man wanted to be remembered as like Hitler, Saddam Hussein did. And people today say that we should have continued to defend him. I can do whatever the hell I want, Tape. Well, movies can be taken from many places. Matthew, I haven't watched Rambo. And if I don't want to talk about how I'm eating Cars Christmas trail mix, I don't have to. Huh? I don't know that you understand how idiom work, Tyrannosaurus. The media considered themselves the fourth branch of the government because what do the three branches of the government do to one another? They check and balance. So what does the media think it does? Check and balance all three branches of the government. It considered itself the fourth branch of the government. It doesn't mean it considered itself that it was. It doesn't mean that it was a federally uh, that it was a federal wing of the government. Self-identification idiomatically from writers is what you guys are calling manipulation. The media have no power because you're too stupid to understand anything they say. They couldn't even get you to wear a mask for COVID. They don't have any power. Unless you mean like Fox News mind fucking 60-year-olds and shut ins. Who cares what 60-year-olds and shut ins think about anything? I think the Supreme Court's done its job. And in fact, I think that overturning Roe v. Wade and what's it called? Affirmative action was two of the best things this government or this country have ever done. No, I'm not Jewish, Tyrone, and I would really prefer that you didn't come back around or sub. Why did you switch your pronoun there, Keith? You have to read between the lines, even though we shouldn't have to. You have to read between the lines of what? The government's job is to make sure that you can eat, that no one is robbing you, and that no foreign country comes and kills you. They're doing their job. The media have no power. Young people do not watch the media. Young people do not listen to the media. Young people do the opposite of what the media recommends to them. The media has no power. New media has an absolutely overreaching and outstretched and absolutely overinflated power. New media does. Social media and podcasts have an absolutely overinflated power in this world. But the media, the traditional media, no. Nobody watches TV. Nobody has read a newspaper in decades. New media is not the media. No, we need more people to be politicians. We need to stop making it the weird, entitled, self-righteous kids who run for high school government. We need people who are exceptional at their jobs. We need people who are exceptional in academe. We need people who are exceptional intellects. We need people who are exceptional religious to run for public office, not more welfare programs. We need more kinds of people running. No, open, unbiased views that between minds that have opposing views, that doesn't progress the masses. It sends the masses into hysterics. They tried that during Vietnam, and look what happened. They used to put open-ended dialogues between very intelligent people on public television in the 1960s, and it turned women into volume zombies, and every man into a deserter. I'm going to run someday, Matthew. I'm going to win the presidency someday. Who do I think 9/11? Who did 9/11? Al Qaeda or whoever? Not valiant zombies. I said volume zombies. I am writing books, Chief. Yeah, the people who did JFK did JFK. I don't know what you mean by who is undermining. I'm not sure what you mean by even more so, Chi. Bob Dole, Eric. Bob Dole, Bob Dole. I can spell potato. It only has an E when it's plural. Thank the 34 of you for being here. It's very cool. Tomato? I don't know. Tomato might have an E at the end. Shout out South Dakota indeed. Thank you, Tyranno. I was going to read a book tonight, and then you guys, you engaged me in a way that felt more meaningful. Um, someone with the solution, Cody. Yeah, it would make sense. It would not make sense for tomato to have an E at the end, but I don't know. Oh yeah, there's 31 of you here talking to me. The reason that we elect the executive office of the various levels of our governments is because they're supposed to have a plan, and we do it in such cycles so they can get ahead of the problems. Yeah, ES, tomatoes with an E, yes. I know that. It does if you say things like that, Tyrone. Oh, it absolutely does when you say that. You just said, I'm not a racist, but I see patterns. That's like definitional worldview racism, man. And bringing it up out of nowhere absolutely means you're thinking about it, which means an ism is an ismos. An ismos is the structure with which you view the world. So you view the world with a racist worldview. You evaluate people for whether they are or are not of your race, which makes you a racist by definition. So goodbye. Don't need you in my life. And I did ask you to leave. Nah, parliamentary and congressional governments are entirely different. Now, black people are the most racist people on the planet. You ever listen to a Nigerian speak? Holy shit. Mind fucked. You literally just out of nowhere said, I'm not racist, but I recognize patterns and I like to stereotype people, and I'm going to insist that that's okay. Okay, my dad. How to be impervious against word wizard. That's called critical thinking and critical reading. Tyrannosaurus, you're looking for critical thinking and critical reading. Yeah, just critical thinking and critical reading. Start at the basics. Yeah, I am deeply mentally unwell, Sean. Deeply mentally unwell. This is how I cope. I wrote an essay on my Patreon called Epistemology. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. It's called no. What the fuck is it called? Um Jesus. It's got Jesus in the word. Help me out here. Exegesis. 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 Look it up. Try it. I think about not being depressed every day, Sean. I thought it was 6'7", Darth Vader. Not critical theory. Hey, it's been great talking at you, Mustang. It's been great talking where you could hear it, buddy. Hey, you too, Cody. I'm comfortable, guys. I'm actually stupid comfortable. I'm not even in my sleeping bags. Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank all of you for your kind words when you take the opportunity. And this isn't a shot. I think in terms of opportunities. So when you take when you have the opportunity and you take it to say something kind to someone, no, you're not yet hunging. Gonna be though. You bother me. Thank you. Hey, Sean, thanks, man. I don't think I caught what you said, but heard that, Ray Ray. I'm glad to be. Oh, hear about. Well, anyway, he got the wrong idea. We also call FIFA typical Rach. For those of you who don't know her, that's my lady. We love her deeply. And Ray Ray, if you notice, I do have a moderator. In fact, Eric was in here earlier. I think, therefore, I'm banned. No. Purely opportunistic is a scary way to be. Yeah, well, I was talking earlier tonight about ego death and ego dissolution and self-harmful frameworks to live, and opportunism is one of those self-harmful ways to live. I hear you, Ray Ray. You may not have been here when I was talking about it, Cody, but I'm not a pessimistic person. I am cynical and stoic in my approach, but I identify as a positivist nihilist. Yeah, Rachie, we appreciate you. I was supposed to be reading her a book. Thank you guys for engaging me in my interests and my knowledge and my opinions. No, I like the opportunity to repeat the things that I've said where they are more applicable. That's a teaching moment, Cody. I agree, Tyrannosaurus. Gratitude is the most rare of all things. Gratitude, we were talking about free, right? You're free. Gratitude is also a word for free. Gratitude, it comes from the gratitude means gratiness, okay? Grati is from the Latin word gratis, which means free. Liberal comes from the Latin liber, which also means free. Thank you, Ray Ray. There's no E on a tomato unless it's plural. Thank you. Yeah. Gratitude is actually what you're supposed to have. Is what you're supposed to have when a superior or your master, if you're a slave, does something outside or more than the call of duty. They've given you something for free and they expect nothing back. So you have freeness. Gratitude is what you have when you're set free as a slave. You have freedom, freeness. And so liberality is about being free with the good things that you have. It's about giving your hospitality. It's about giving your internal goodness, whatever that is, whether it be money or what, for free without being asked to give it. That's liberality. Thank you, Ray Ray. And thank you, Rachie. Yes, I agree, Cody. Yes. When I worked in retail, it was very important to me that my first thought be, thank you for coming here. Because of you, I get to eat. This business gets to stay open. Thank you for your business. Thank you for the learning opportunity of dealing with whatever arbitrary bullshit you just put me through. And thank you for getting the fuck out. Yeah. Thank you for fucking leaving. Well, I tried myself, Matthew, I tried to make even when I pay, I try to make the transaction part a surprise to me. I try to leave that the part that I'm not thinking about. I try to be mindful of the gratitude for the situation, the environment, the corporation, the ability to exchange tender, the fact that we reside in the future and I can order at this Panera or this Taco Bell or whatever, and that I don't have to hunt and kill my own food. These are the things I'm thinking about. Um, and then I forget to pay, or I forget that it's coming. Oh shit! Yep, you're right. It's always you're right. It's always at the end. I know. Freedom and free, but right, because the word can mean, the word has multiple meanings. Yeah, Rachie, get you ready for work. Um, if she's getting ready for work, that means it's actually yeah, you guys have about 10 more minutes with me. That's why my back hurts so bad. I actually have to start getting ready towards sleep. But yeah, freedom isn't free because we pay for the right to criticize our government in a lot of different ways, and one of them is by engaging in the market economy. Ugh. Yes, oh Cody. In order for them to be free, there has to be something they're free of. There has to be a tyrant, there has to be a threat, there has to be an enemy, there has to be a problem, there has to be something that is restricting them from living their best life. And so right now, that's a lot of arbitrary bullshit because we don't have strong leadership in the executive branches of our various levels of government. What we have is a broadly diffusionary divide the people to keep them conquered tactic that has been working since the conclusion of World War II. But if there were anybody with good ideas, they would easily run the world. That's why Elon Musk is everywhere, is because he tells people he has good ideas. Well, it depends on what you mean by right, because what a right is just something that in the over the course of history has been proved to be correct. Oh, we have a very bright future for free market capitalism because everything is about to become so cheap, it's all free. Everything is about to become so abundant, nobody can sell it. Debt, race, addiction, they don't keep minds off divides, those are the divides. They keep minds on divides. If you're thinking about how that person doesn't look like me, you're instantly othering them. You're instantly othering them. And so, what the problem that we have is that our leadership is all telling us to other everyone. I don't know about Shiloh LaBeouf and Nike, but if that's how you feel about it. But yes, you need to just go out there and do the thing you're afraid to do. Because the worst thing that can happen is you can fucking die. And you know who's not going to be sad about that? You. So don't go out there and get yourself killed, but go out there and make your mom proud. Other everyone? Maybe, Chi. It's not a, it's certainly an ironic title. The other everyone. White meat. Yeah, don't let your dreams be dreams. Look, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that's going to come up with what are those called? Um maxims, right? I'm not the maxim guy, okay? But the maxims exist. You know them. You have your favorite maxim. Live it. Believe it. Like we were talking earlier, that belief is the things that you live like you think they're true. Platitude. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not the platitude guy. Um, but you know the platitudes that work for you. I'm sure I know there are platitudes that work for me. It's just, I'm not telling you that you're going to go out there and you're always going to win, right? I know it's whatever it is. It's Wednesday morning, but just do it. Whether you think you can or can't, you're right. That's right. Whoever told you, if how's it go? Yeah, whether you think you can or can't, you're right. When you say you can't, you're right. When you say that you can't, you're right, because you're not. My granddad used to say, shoulda, coulda, and woulda never did anything. Well, sure, if someone wins, someone had to lose. But also, if someone wins, someone had a learning opportunity. The problem with the Super Bowl is that teams like the Eagles, last year's Super Bowl victors, don't have anything to learn about themselves until they start losing. Truth is always naked. The lies are transparent, aren't they, Bob? Don't we have to pretend that the lie is true in order to believe it? I'm doing great, Tape. Blessings and lessons. Yeah, for sure. That sounds like something you heard in an old Baptist church from a black woman in a magnificent hat. If your fear of failure overweighs your drive for success, you will never succeed. That's correct. You're gonna fail. So if you let the fear of the failure stop you, you're never gonna start. Southern man, heard that, oh Cody. I grew up in North Carolina. That's right, Matthew. I used to tell myself a lot of the ways somebody asked me kind of in their own way, like how I got here. How can you be so intelligent but also here? And it's because I chose to live my life. I chose to live my life like I was going to tell the story someday. If you never try, not winning or losing is way scarier than either or. Now that you're older now. Yeah, for sure. If you never try, the only thing that you know is that you don't know whether you were going to succeed. You never tried. You never gave yourself the chance. And see, one thing that I used to say about myself, people ask me, how can you be so successful at the things that you put your mind to? And it's like, well, for example, the beer, or not the beer, I'm sorry, the grill, working the grill at Steak and Shake. They were never going to give me a chance to succeed at it if I didn't take the chance to get good. And so you can think about that in a lot of ways. I get bothered too, Matthew. That's why I'm not working. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take being in public. under the auspices of someone else's business. I just couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't take it. Even now, it sends me into post traumatic stress, emotional turmoil, just thinking about being back there. I don't know the Peter principle, but it sounds like a dick joke. I almost kept it together, Rachie. I almost kept it together. Hey, take care, Michael. It's been great hanging with you guys. You do have fewer than 10 minutes left with me, um, so thank you very much. This has been very fun for me. Yeah, um, self sabotage, self sabotage, Matthew. That's the one that got me. Left several and then started your own. Hell yeah, Bob. Hell yeah. Yes, hierarchologies are problematic. Yes, hierarchies and assumptions of capitulation to hierarchy are a real problem for me. A real problem for me. The highest level is always incompetence. Yep. Yep. Waiting for your vending machines to pick up and take off? Heck yeah, man. That's a good way to make a living. It really is. People people scoff. They go, "Who buys from that vending machine?" And then 15 minutes later, they're like, "You know what I fucking want?" It always happens. It's a good living. And if you've got the upfront cash and you've got the time and you've got the patience to do it, vending machines are a very, very good source of income. They're a very good living, and they are a necessary function in the economy. I can't talk. I can't even mention how many times in my life I've been like, damn, I just wish there were a vending machine right here. I have heard so many people talk shit about it, but that's a good life. It is a good life, and it is a necessary service to the economy. I love drink vending machines. They don't have to be soda vending machines, but I've always just loved that they exist. Just, yeah, you self sabotage to do the damage they're going to do first. So they're not interested in you, Michael. Did I call you Michael? I'm sorry, Matthew. And that's also it's dangerous, man. You don't want to do that. I'm not going to beat you up because then you're going to try to do that. You're going to try to do that self sabotage shit to impress me. But you don't want to do that to yourself, man. Don't need to do that to yourself. There are plenty of people along the path of your life who are going to sabotage you that you don't need to do it to. Maybe that's a platitude I used to say to myself. I don't know who Dr. Lawrence J. Peter is. Tyrannosaurus. Fuck yeah, man. That's awesome, oh Cody. That's awesome. Legitimately, that's so cool. I have a lot of weird interests, man. And one of the things that I saw as a kid in the Jetsons was that there were vending machines everywhere. So I'm annoyed about the future that there aren't more convenient vending machines. So that's cool. The hot and cold ones, those were a novelty, right? Back in the 70s and 80s. Oh, I can get a hot cup of coffee here, but those are fucking cool. Oh, you missed a lot. Uh, you missed a lot. This is actually almost over. I got about 6 more minutes, and then I'm gonna fucking hit the hay, like it did me dirty. Heard that, not so. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking about too. I'm glad that you brought it up, Ray Ray. Is the Japanese vending machines, the technology. We have the technology. We just don't have the entrepreneurial minded people to put them out to invest the money necessary to get them installed. Yeah, flip phones, flat screens, live video chats, doors that open themselves. Yeah, a lot of our modern technology was first visualized for Star Trek. Thank you, Sarah. Lately, Tyrannus, I've been starting my lives on my way home from Taco Bell, which has been about 1 o'clock. Um, and then today I went live 1 o'clock Eastern, and then today I went live uh basically right as soon as I woke up, so like 2 p.m., something like that. I've been trying to stick to the at least walking back to the tent live, see if I can get a conversation going. So about 1 a.m. is when I've been going live lately. 1 a.m. I tried to do a game stream this afternoon, and my computer didn't cooperate, so I didn't do a third live stream. But it's up to my energy levels, where I'm at, how I'm feeling. But you know, yeah, Bob. One of the things that I was advocating for yesterday, because we were reading a book, yesterday, is one of the things I was talking about. I think I was also talking about this with my guy Christopher, was that science has always been uh, what the science has always been the result of children growing up with cutting edge mythologies. And so saying that science is just science fiction plus 50 years is the same thing. Totally, Bob. Yeah. Science fiction is just mythology using the best knowledge that the mythologer has available to them. That's even evidenced in bad science fictions like The Coming Age and The Shaver Mysteries, which I read for the channel. I don't think I finished The Shaver Mysteries. I hated it too much. That's right. All manner of magic is just science, not understood. There was an author. I don't remember the name of the author. I should. Arthur Conan Doyle. That's not right. Arthur C. Clarke. I got it. Arthur C. Clarke said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Science is the fulfillment of yesterday's dreams. Yeah, for sure. I would say that technology is the fulfillment of yesterday's dreams. Science is just what we can confirm to be true. It's just what we know. Science is a word that means knowledge. That's impossible. Well, it's possible, just not yet. Yeah, yeah, basically. We're all in agreement. We're all just saying it in different ways, and that's beautiful. I love that. I don't want you guys to adopt my idiom. I don't want you guys to accept the tyranny of the way I speak. I like it that you have the platitudes and the ways of thinking about things that belong to you or that you like. I like that. And if some of the things I say become those, that's cool too. But that's not what I'm here for. All right, you got 2 minutes, which means that I should do my goodbyes. Bob and Cody, if I'm interrupting you, I will probably notice it during my goodbyes. But I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my Patreon subscribers really quickly. The most recent is I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him today, but I would like to take the opportunity to just go ahead and thank Christopher again. And then always typical Rachel. She goes by FIFA143 in here. You sometimes see her as Rachel Engel, but typical Rachel is her nickname here on the channel. I would also like to thank Mr. S, always in the shadows and always making the channel better in his unique ways. And Mackinfly. I haven't seen Mackinfly around. Lenny on Discord, I haven't seen you around in a while, buddy. I am trying to find you people to chat with, I promise. Um, it doesn't seem like a lot of people. But thank you very much to them. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of your life as you take the opportunity to be a part of my lives. And yeah, thank you for letting me share my insight. We were talking today about the difference in the self and the ego, and the self is what you see if you look inside far enough. And so I think that insights come from comparing the self against the many, and on some level, we're all the same. So thank you very much for taking the opportunity to find some kindness, which means sameness, with me, a seriously mentally ill and homeless, ascetic and religious mystic and Philalitheia, lover of truth. Thank you. Um, I have not often in my life felt loved and appreciated, but the last 3 nights have been standout experiences in my life. Thank you guys. Please be well. And please don't overdose on me. I'm going to be here for a long time. Be well. Yes. And sleep well. Good night. I didn't say all of those. Take care of yourself. Work hard, all right? Work hard. Find something that matters to you and build on it every day, even if you only put one toothpick down. Love you guys. Oh, look at the good nights. Just keep coming. You guys are going to make me cry on camera and embarrass myself like I did this on purpose.